Well, still a lot of questions about the future of auto insurance in Alberta as the Alberta government is moving toward what it calls its Care First model, which is really more or less what's known as no fault auto insurance. Now you've got, though, the insurance industry, some companies threatening to leave Alberta, the Alberta government even threatening maybe to go to a public model. So, joining us to try to sort out all of this, very pleased to welcome to the program Mark McCourt. He's an automobile accident injury lawyer. He's also principal counsel with McCourt Law Offices in Edmonton, much more at McCourtlaw.ca. Mark, so great to have you with us here.
Thanks for having me on, Rob.
It's an interesting moment, isn't it? Because the Alberta government says they're trying to fix auto insurance, but it just feels like maybe things are going in the opposite direction. What's the lay of the land right now as you see it, first of all?
Well, I know that when Danielle Smith's UCP government I guess, reelected. I mean, Premier Smith took over for Jason Kenney, but was reelected in May of 2023. The Premier appointed Nate Horner to the Finance Department and gave him a mandate letter that said, amongst other things, hey, can you try to figure out how we can get people's car insurance premiums down? And so his department went to work, and the reality is this: that for the last 15 years or so, there are maybe a handful of insurance policy bureaucrats in the finance department that have been itching to find some finance minister who would let them bring in no fault auto insurance. It's kind of a hobby horse that a handful of them have had, and with Travis Taves before Mr. Horner, and with Joe Ceci before Travis Taves, they weren't able to find, quite frankly, in my opinion, a finance minister dupable enough to go for this. But they finally have one in Nate Horner, and so they've decided to go ahead with this Care First program that initially was supposed to save everybody about $400 a year on their car insurance premiums, and now it seems like, well, actually, maybe it's going to cost somewhere between about $136 to $400 a year in auto insurance premiums, which is really quite the opposite of what they were aiming for, I think.
Right. Yeah. I think you're right. They don't want to call it no fault insurance. They're using this term Care First, but I think that's more or less what we're talking about here. So, what do we mean when we say no fault insurance?
So basically, if under the current at-fault insurance system, also called a tort law system, if you get rear-ended by somebody and you hurt your neck or some such thing, then you can bring a personal injury claim against that negligent driver's car insurance company. And so on some occasions, of course, you might call somebody like myself, a personal injury lawyer, and when I get a call from somebody, I have a couple of questions for them. Question number one: was it your fault? And if they say yep, I say, that's all the questions I have for you, because if it was your fault, there's not much I can do for you. But if they say it was not my fault, it was somebody else's fault, and I got hurt, then you've got a claim you can bring against the negligent driver's insurance company. Now, under a no-fault system, it doesn't matter whose fault the car accident is. You could be the reckless driver who caused an accident, and if as a result of that accident, you, the reckless driver, get hurt, then you are entitled to the exact same compensation that your victim, perhaps that you may have mowed down in a crosswalk, what have you. You're entitled to that same compensation scheme that your innocent victim has. Now, currently, under the existing program, auto insurance system, there is a no-fault aspect to this. Everybody's standard auto policy carries mandatory accident benefits coverage that provides you with care first in the event of a car accident. And so we already have a care first aspect to the existing system. I doubt that Mr. Horner was aware of that, but now he knows.
Interesting. And we already have in Alberta too, don't we? There are limits on injury payouts.
Yeah, well,
Certain kinds of
absolutely.
injuries.
Yeah, so there's a soft tissue injury cap that's been in place since October of 2004. Ralph Klein's government brought in what they called a minor injury regulation that covers sprains and strains and whiplash injuries that heal relatively quickly. And so that's a cap on pain and suffering compensation that initially was at $4,000, and with inflation, it's a little under $6,200 now. And then, frankly, there's an overall cap on compensation for pain and suffering. Back in 1978, the Supreme Court of Canada heard 3 cases of very catastrophically injured individuals and said, these people should be entitled to compensation for their pain and suffering from the person that harmed them or from their insurer. And so they said, well, I mean, there's no amount of dollars that can properly compensate somebody who's been catastrophically injured, is rendered a quadriplegic, et cetera. But we're the Supreme Court of Canada. We got to pick a number here. And so they picked $100,000. And so $100,000 in 1978 dollars, which might be closing in on about $400,000, is kind of that ultimate cap for pain and suffering compensation.
Right.
So there's already limits, like you say, Rob.
Yeah. Yeah. So what do you make of the argument that somehow these payouts or these court cases are still a problem, or still what's costing the insurance companies money, and therefore that's why rates are going up?
It sounds like a really good line, and all you have to do, though, is look at the stats to see that that is not, in fact, the case. When the UCP government was initially elected in 2019 under Jason Kenney, Mr. Kenney's campaign chair became immediately after the election became a lobbyist for the Insurance Bureau of Canada. His former press secretary is now the president of the Insurance Bureau of Canada, and they immediately went to work on getting rid of that dirty, rotten NDP cap on premiums. And then went to work on persuading the Kenney government at the time to look at further restrictions on the amount that people hurt by reckless drivers could charge. And so Mr. Kenney's Finance Minister Travis Taves listened to a number of their concerns, of the insurance industry's concerns, and as a result, while premiums over that period of time, over the roughly 4 or 5 years since 2019 until Mr. Kenney's departure, went up by about 35%. Claims costs for bodily injury claims went down by about 8%. And so to blame out of control injury claims on why auto insurance premiums have gone up is just simply not true. Now, more recent data shows that last year, while bodily injury claims did rise, they rose by about 6.5%. What really went sky high was collision comprehensive hail damage claims, which the claims costs more than doubled for auto insurers. And so if auto insurance companies were being honest, they'd say the big problem here is out of control hail damage, theft claims, that sort of thing. That's where we're seeing, as an insurance industry, where they're seeing a huge increase in claims, and so perhaps something could be done about that. But that's I think basically, and Nate Horner said this in the press conference announcing this Care First or No Fault system last November. He said, people driving $100,000 F-150, people who parked at the Calgary airport about a year ago and saw a big hailstorm that caused about $1 billion damage, and Mr. Horner said, you could scarcely find more expensive vehicles in an airport anywhere outside of Dubai. I think really that's what he's looking at, is trying to help the insurance industry artificially keep artificially low the comprehensive coverage and hail damage coverage for people driving Bentleys and $100,000 vehicles at the expense of people who might be victimized by reckless drivers.
Yeah, that's the thing. And I guess even if we're seeing premiums increase under this no-fault model, I mean, that should tell us something too, shouldn't it?
Well, it's very unfortunate that if Danielle Smith's mandate to Finance Minister Horner was find a way to reduce auto insurance premiums, well, his bureaucrats led him astray. They told him that if you bring in this Care First model, which is basically a no-fault model, it will reduce auto insurance premiums. frankly, injury lawyers such as myself and to the credit, even insurance lobbyists were saying, you know what, no fault insurance is not the way to go. And a little over a year ago, the trial lawyers and the insurance industry came to some consensus conclusions on how the Alberta government could reduce premiums while maintaining the existing at-fault system. And the bureaucrats, I guess, must have convinced Finance Minister Horner that no, stay on target. You gotta bring in this no fault. We're telling you this is the best thing since sliced bread. And they weren't able to convince Travis Taves when he was finance minister, but they managed to convince Horner of this. And your colleague at the Calgary Herald, Rick Bell, talked to
Right.
Danielle Smith about a week ago, and she said, you know what? I'm getting fed up with this insurance file. The insurance industry and the trial lawyers better figure out how we can fix
Yeah.
this thing. Well, guess what? The insurance industry and the trial lawyers told the government how to fix this thing a little over a year ago, and the finance department ignored us.
So what would that look like then?
Well, so basically, what the insurance industry a number of years ago had been pitching was three main things. Number one, if you can eliminate minor injuries from the at-fault insurance model, that would save a couple $100 a year in premiums for the average motorist. And then there was a couple other things they said. Number one, if you could get rid of this grid system under which good drivers artificially over-subsidize the insurance rates of bad drivers, that would save something like about $65 a year. And then there was one other thing that escapes me right now. I think it was, but in any event, they said that was going to save another roughly $60 a year, and so for a total of $320 or $325 a year in savings. And then the Alberta Civil Trial Lawyers Association said, you know what? Why don't we throw in getting rid of that direct compensation property damage scheme that Jason Kenney's government brought in at the beginning of 2022. Under that scheme, no matter whose fault a car accident is, your own insurance company pays for your vehicle damage if you have collision coverage, and if the accident is not your fault, they pay under this DCPD scheme. But by bringing in this direct compensation property damage, people's basic auto insurance premiums rose because of that. So the Civil Trial Lawyers Association said, hey, if you get rid of that DCPD scheme, if you allow optional collision coverage where people could opt to get their vehicles fixed with aftermarket parts or basic parts, that would save another roughly, I think they said something in the area of $400 a year for car insurance premiums. So these were solutions that were put to the government back in June of 2024, and the bureaucrats said, you know what, let's just stay on target, Nate. We can bring in this care first, and it's going to be transformational. It's going to be a culture shift for Albertans who until recently, valued things like, rights and responsibilities. But let's change the culture in Alberta. I'm not a big fan of that idea.
Well, then you had the premier, I mean, following in those comments she made to Rick Bell, suggesting that she might just rip it all up and implement a public system like what we see in Saskatchewan or British Columbia. What did you make of that?
Well, number one, I think she's bluffing. Frankly, provinces that go to a public auto insurance system tend to be socialist governments. You typically see an NDP type government or a very left-leaning liberal type government to bring in a public auto insurance system. Not that I'm saying that it's necessarily a bad idea. Public auto insurance system would eliminate profit from the equation and would reduce people's car insurance premiums. But again, it tends to be a more left-leaning government that brings that in, and so I doubt she's. I think she's just trying to scare the insurance industry that keeps whining for yet more handouts. But frankly, I don't think the auto insurance industry is they're gonna call it bluff. I don't think that they believe that the UCP government is seriously considering bringing in a public auto insurer.
As you say, there is an off ramp here if she wants the lawyers in the industry to come up with something. As you laid out, there is a model there, a proposal there, or do you think they're bound to this care first, this no fault model? Where do you see things going here?
Yeah, you're right, Rob. There is an off ramp. There's been an off ramp for over a year. I myself have added some other suggestions that would further increase the savings for good Alberta motorists on their auto insurance premiums. And so yeah, and I've been pointing out to the government that for over the last 18 months that there is an off ramp that they could take. Whether they're going to do that or not remains to be seen. I think another option that they have, and that sadly it seems like they're considering, is one thing the insurance lobby is saying is there's this 7.5% annual rate cap for good Alberta motorists right now.
Right.
And if you could please remove that rate cap so we could charge whatever the heck we wanted, it would really help us out because we're having a tough time making ends meet. I think the Alberta government might do that. And as crazy as it seems, here's the political expediency of doing something like that. You raise, if they were to remove that rate cap, and in 2026, everybody saw their premiums go up by an average of 25 or 30%. Let's say $600 or $700 a year. And then in 2027, which, correct me if I'm wrong, Rob, I think that might be an election year. They brought in this Care First and said to insurance companies, "Can you do us a solid, you guys, and knock everybody's premiums down by $100 a year or $200 a year?" It could well be that Albertans who have perhaps short memories, or at least this would be the game plan for the UCP, would not remember the $700 rate hike they saw in 2026, but they would be very happy that the UCP brought in this Care First and gave them $200 off their auto insurance premiums in 2027. So that might be something they do. I wouldn't recommend it. I hope they don't do that. I would rather they take the off ramp and do something that would actually be helpful for all Albertans, but you never can tell. Tough to know what the future what the future lies in terms of the road
Yes,
ahead.
indeed. We'll just have to wait and see for ourselves, I guess. Much more in the meantime, McCourtlaw.ca. Mark, appreciate your insight on this. Thanks so much for making some time for us here.
Yeah, thanks, Rob. Good talking to you.
Hey, folks, thanks for watching and listening. You can find us at robbreakenridge.ca. Also, make sure you hit that subscribe button below and stay connected with The Rob Breakenridge Show.